Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Tales with TR. I'm your host, Terry Ryan Jr., otherwise known as TR, aka Ted Hitchcock. And I'm here to bring you an interview with Brantt Myhres. I hope you're having a wonderful December. Some of you have started your Christmas break, your Christmas season, and I hope it's been very merry. And on this very Christmas day, which is, I don't even know what day it is anymore. I'm looking down at my phone. This could say the 17th to the 20th, and I'm not really sure. Let's see what day it is. It's the 19th. It's Thursday, the 19th. Isn't that interesting? Now, folks, if you would like a book, because I've had some orders, you just email ecw.com, I believe it is, or flankerpress.com. Tales of a First Round Nothing, ECW, Flanker Press is Fights, Film, and Folklore. They might as well be volume 1 and 2, same sort of book, some anecdotes about my life. The first one, the first one the first one was first. I didn't know I was going to do a second one when I did the first, but that being said, after the first one, I realized I had a lot of stories left out, and I kind of tried to toss them into the second one, along with some film stuff. Will there be a third? I don't really know. And not many of you are tuning in today to find out whether or not I got a third book. I just figured I'd mention that because I'm getting a lot of emails for them, and I don't have a bunch on me, or any at the moment, and it's just been I've been out of province as much as I've been in. So, Flanker Press, the second book, by the way, Fights, Film, and Folklore. So if you want that, it's like up the road. It's 5 minutes up the road from my house. So at any point, if you order that book and you just say, can you get Terry to personalize it? I just drive up like once every week or two and sign a bunch, personalize them, just add that note, right? If it's ECW, they'll send it to me. It might, being the first book, might take a little bit of extra time, but they'll send it over and I'll send it. It might be, I think, an extra $5, but whatever. If you want the signature, that's what you're going to have to pay. Now, another thing. So during Christmas, I don't know. I called a few people, and I know you guys want something to listen to. I don't really want to work, but doing a podcast on my own isn't really much work, to be honest with you. So I'm glad Brandt gave me his time. But the next few, so I'm going to pepper your podcast world over Christmas with some things, like my favorite, maybe Christmas songs, Christmas albums, maybe Christmas movies. And if I was going to do a definitive list, I think I'd spend like all day and really trying to break it down. And I know like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I tried to do this, and I left out Fairy Tale of New York, which is one of my favorite Christmas songs. And I know I'm always going to leave something out. So just so you know, I don't know if I'll have a guest. I might have Senior pop up maybe, but I'm going to just sit down over Christmas break, man. I'm going to chill. And while I'm chilling, I might do like, my favorite, or some of my favorite that gets me off. And what gets me off? No, it doesn't get me off like that. Although some of them probably would literally get me off. No, but I mean, it gets me off the hook in being definitive because I know I'm going to leave something out. I mean, we were just in the car, Penny Lane and I tossed on my Christmas playlist, and Snoopy's Christmas came on by the Royal Guardsmen, one of my favorite Christmas tunes. The Mummers song, which is very Newfoundland. I don't know if you live outside of here. I don't know. But if you live here, you've heard it 5,000 times every Christmas, right? There's some unique things that I could probably bring to the table while talking about Christmas music, movies, pop culture kind of stuff. But I know I'm going to leave some stuff out. So before I start, I'm going to qualify it all by saying that I know I'm going to leave some stuff out. So please don't be emailing me. Hey, Terry, you forgot to put in Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. You're a Beatles fan, or whatever. And that wouldn't be, I'm a Beatles fan, but I don't think that's a great song. So it wouldn't be in there. I'm going to try to give you some kind of an idea what some of my favorites are, but I'm backing away from this definitive list stuff because I've been burnt on it before. Anyway, what a negative thing to say. I've been burnt on it before, bah humbug. So you're not getting my motherfucking definitive list at Christmas time. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, without further ado, let's get him on the horn here. Let's get Brantt Myhres, the legend, podcast host, author, all-around good guy and former National Hockey League, Western Hockey League, American Hockey League killer bar fight. Well, let's ask him about it. I don't know about how many bar fights he got in. He talks about a couple in his book, Painkiller. Anyway, bear with me. Send Brandt an email, and we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are, episode 236B of Tales with TR, and I'd like to welcome back NHL, WHL, American Hockey League legend, good guy, my buddy, author, Painkiller, what a book, what a Christmas present to tell you the truth, and of course, host of the newly formed Unhammered podcast. It gives me pleasure to bring back Brantt Myhres. Brantt, how the hell are you doing?
How you doing, buddy? It's been a while, eh?
It's been a while, and I'm loving your podcast. Before we get into anything, I want to know now. So, for those that don't know, it's called Unhammered. Brandt is a pretty public, had a pretty public battle with alcoholism and substance abuse. Wrote about it. It really took off. I know every single hockey player friend I know has read it. The praise, the critics been all over it. But since, that was a while ago now, you've been doing all kinds of things while you're staying sober, but including this pod. What inspired you to come up with it? And I noticed that you had our buddy Sheldon Surrey on early on. Did that have something to do with it?
Yeah. So basically, what it was after you read the book, that was like 3 years ago, right? It was a while ago, and I just was getting all these messages on social media and wanting me to, I guess, just sort of go deeper into the book. And COVID happened and all that shut down. And then I was talking with Sheldon. I said, I think I'm going to address all these questions. And, the book is pretty packed. It's packed with just lots of, not necessarily hockey stuff, but just life in general. And so I thought, I'm going to start a podcast. And I really don't care how many people watch as long as one person does. That was my whole attitude behind it. And then, I had to come up with a name and a logo and all this, T. And then I just went on Amazon. I started buying equipment, and I'm YouTubing for days, And then I came across a podcast in Los Angeles called Melrose Studio, and I got a hold of my friend Joe Manganiello and Sheldon, and then I got a hold of Carey Price and drove down there. But those were not lucky. I didn't plan on having guests. I wanted to read from the book and I wanted to talk recovery. Didn't really need a guest for that, to be quite honest.
You had your first 5 or 6. I watched Sheldon and Carey in their entirety. And I love by the way, the recent stuff. I don't think I've missed a full one, but it's peppered with, I find it inspirational even for someone that didn't go through the same experiences you did, because a lot of them, though, I did play hockey, and I know what it's like to be hungover, and I know what it's like to make bad decisions on booze. And, it relates to more than just the sobering community. But I love how you get that in there. But for me, your book was so full of information that you forget, you can't remember everything in the book, and it starts to get overwhelming, the stories of chaos, right? And amongst the chaos is I scored a goal, you did play in the National Hockey League, so right, on top of being an intimidating fighter in a lot of people's eyes. But so it's reminding me, because it gives you a chance to go back and tell kind of your story, but you're weaving in and out. Your podcast isn't linear that way, right? You can go back. So I'm going to ask you today some questions about the pod, and also pepper in some questions that people might have had about your NHL career. Just go back and forth and, basically talk about your life, your career, but, opinions, whatever it might be. I'm not going political on this. I just mean what you're up to now and, things that you might talk to about on your pod. So the first thing that I personally have to ask, I don't know what it's like to be in recovery that way. I don't know the 12 steps. I mean, I've had to say to myself, smarten up and at times, but or is it 12 steps, or maybe it's not, but whatever it is it comforting and therapeutic for you to be speaking, even though there's no one in the room with you, but you clearly have an audience. Is that as much of the recovery? Does that make you feel comfortable, or is it a burden, but you feel I have to get my story out there because if I don't, there's going to be people make the mistakes, or is it a two-way street?
It's might be I wouldn't say it's a two-way street, but what it does is it, as addicts and somebody that deals with the disease of addiction, my head tells me that I don't need to record the next episode. Like you're good. You've talked about it enough.
Okay.
Right? Like fuck you. You're not getting the better of me. And that's been a struggle since I was young. And
Young being what?
16, I would believe, or 17, something like that.
When was your first beer? I know you say this in the book, but I forget.
The first time I got loaded, I was 10, but
10,
that
yeah.
was an uncle that gave me a glass of scotch.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And it wasn't like immediate. You weren't like boozing in Atom hockey and stuff, right? But then it
No.
just became, yeah.
It was when I got traded to Lethbridge is when I
Mm.
really started drinking.
And at the time too, people don't realize when you're junior, like at our time, no one really, that was survival of the fittest. If you can't handle it, when that included off the ice, then you're fucking gone. Some people like you, that was the dangerous thing about you. You could do both. Right? A lot of people would just weed themselves. They couldn't play hockey or they couldn't booze if they wanted to. But you could do both. But the thing about it, Lethbridge is like a tough drinker. I mean that. I'm a Newfoundlander. It's a drinking culture here, and it's 18. Right? When I was in Tri, it was 21. So still, we were kind of shielded from so much. When I played in Red Deer, it was just coming at you from all angles. Was it like that when you went to Lethbridge?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
For those that don't know, sorry, it's because the age to drink, I'm saying, is 18 in Alberta, and in the United States, in most places, it's 21. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't explain myself.
No, that's all good. I mean, one of the big reasons too, T, is that like you could afford to drink back then.
Yeah.
You can't afford as a junior player to go to the fucking bar and buy a round for the boys.
No, you can't.
Like
A round is literally more than your first paychecks.
One round equals 2 weeks' pay.
Yeah, it's true though. People think we're fucking joking. We're not joking.
I made $60 every 2 weeks. That was my check that I cashed. Right. But back then, highballs, some places you get a highball for 50 to 75 cents. Right. So on ladies' night, whatever it was. But
you could go in the afternoon, Mizey. You go in the afternoon and get on the booze, and everybody spent fucking $18.
They'd have pictures of beer for $2.50. Right. And then wings and fries. Like you can't, as a junior player now, you can't go out and party. No. So it's changed so much from
all angles. People do it less anyway, but even if they could, I know what you're saying. Even if they could, there's no way you could do it the same. The prices are too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. So the bridge was my junior years were like, don't get me wrong, like I had my whatever you want to call them, but man, I had some amazing memories. And I think the memories were because of my teammates were so awesome.
Teammates in which place are you talking about?
All of them, but more Lethbridge and Spokane. Portland, I was young. I was 16, and I had guys like Cam Daniluk that I love him today, but he didn't treat me very good back then. I tucked my jersey in on the side. And I remember he fucking thought I was a pretty boy. So he'd in line in practice, he'd come and he'd untuck it. Like he'd do shit like that to me to try and like bring me whatever, even keel. So when I got traded to Lethbridge, I couldn't fucking wait to play Spokane when he played there in Portland. He was the first guy I was going after.
Really? Yeah. But it would, that guys back then, there was a hierarchy, and it was almost like, I remember some crazy things that it was almost, what's the word? It was almost like a rite of passage, but some veterans took it way too far. I won't mention, there's one guy for me, I'd spit in his face if I saw him right now.
Yeah.
You were fired up.
You know it. Know it. I mean, when you're 16 years old, you're still a kid. Like, I always treated the rookies good.
Yeah.
Always. When I was
I heard that
19,
about you.
when I was 19, I don't like when people fucking pick on people. I don't. I think that's a real sign of insecurity.
Yeah.
And even when I was rocking and rolling with my fights in junior, I always took the rookies under my wing.
Yeah.
Because it happened to me when I got to the NHL. A guy named Gerard Gallant was my roommate.
Wow.
My
He was your
first
fucking roommate. I forget, how much
Spuddy.
time has passed.
Spuddy. Actually, I'll take that back. My first ever roommate was a guy named Wendell Young, who was a goalie.
Goalie for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And I walked in and there
Tampa
was a
Bay.
Stanley Cup ring sitting on the bath in the bathroom. And I walked into my room for in Florida for training camp. And I said, holy shit. So then they put me with Spuddy. And Spuddy's in the bathroom. I don't know what he's doing, but the phone rings. And I go to pick it up. Back then you had roommates, right?
Yeah.
So, hello, who's this? Hey, is Spuddy in? I said, no, he's in the bathroom. I said, who's this? He goes, tell him it's Stevie Y. So here I am as an 18-year-old or whatever it is.
You're a fan.
I can't even. He's on my wall. I can't believe that I'm talking. I'm talking to Stevie Yzerman, right? So,
that's wild.
Anyways, my point. Where was my point? Oh, about the rookies. So, anyways, I couldn't wait to fight Cam Daniluk when I got.
Wow. And
yeah,
I know what happened, but how did it go? Did you feel fulfilled?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Downo was really tough, but I remember also Downo when I went to set the record. I had one fucking game left to play at the end of the year, and I would have been the only 17-year-old to get this many penalties in the Western Hockey League. So I had 300 and they got it wrong. They missed a major or something in my stats, but I had 370 something, and my dad said, son, you need 3 penalty minutes to break the record tonight.
Wow. I love how your dad was on there with, it was crazy advice even earlier. I remember you talking about earlier on, he was always there, but it was honest advice. It was crazy, but I hate to say it, but he was right. He was right. You know what I mean? And you were so tough. I mean, you could score too and everything, but that was there was that element of your game that it was only 3 penalty minutes, but it meant something and it said something and it put your name out there, just kept it out there, right?
3
with
penalty minutes too. You need a major for that.
Yeah.
So guess who I'm asking to break the record as a friend? Cam Daniluk.
Unfucking believable.
He lines up and I say, Downo, I said, I need 5 to break the record. Then he goes, okay, mice. So anyways, we square off in Medicine Hat. And I had 381. So I think I was the only 17-year-old to have that many penalty minutes.
It's insane. I tell people about it. We couldn't even warm up together. There was just so many people. It's crazy. Remember they took the 10-minute misconducts away? You guys aren't getting those don't count anymore because people are trying to rack them up.
Who's the toughest guy in the NHL?
What's that?
Who's the toughest guy in the NHL?
Like right now?
Yeah. Who do you think is?
Boy. Like actual tough. I don't know. I think Reeves probably has the belt, but that guy on Columbus, that Olivier or Matt Oliver, is it, or Olivier? He fights all customers and he leaves himself out there. I think he's a really good fighter and an entertaining fighter.
I think he is.
What
does Matt Rempe need to do?
Is it McDermott? There's a few. Matt Rempe.
What does he need to do?
Who am I to say? Because I did the same. But when he came in and everybody knew he was what his play was, he left himself open. But he's really tall. I don't know if he had more Darren Langdon in him. I think he would be. Now Darren Langdon's one of the best technical fighters ever, so that's easy for me to say. First of all, he's got to become a bit better of a player, Meyers. You sell yourself short. You were in an era though where people did often get one shift and go fight, and you were so tough that happens sometimes. But I don't know if he could pop in 30 in junior, could he? I don't really know.
I mean, Scott Parker did.
Parker did? Oh, you did, though, didn't you? You had 20-odd goals.
No, I had The most I ever had was I had 62 points, I think, or
Yeah.
63 points in 60 games or something.
Mizey, that's crazy good for a guy who was known for dropping the gloves.
But you also, if you again, when you look back at Tocchet, Barnaby, Shanahan, like these guys were Domi. These guys were putting points up and 350 fucking minutes in the box.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
People
great.
don't
Forget even Ty Domi had 16 goals one year. Chris Nyland had 21. Proby had 28 or 29. A lot of people forget that. But there was, though, Mizey, I'm talking a lot, sorry. But a lot of those guys came right before us. And I think the guys like our era, there was literally guys getting like, I don't want to put people down, but like guys like Tony Twist were different. They just came in and, okay, whoever you put out there, I'm going to break your orbital bone. I don't what goals, fuck that.
Yeah.
Right. But the guys that you're mentioning, yeah, they could score. You're one of them. You could Rempe, I don't really know, but clearly he keeps getting sent down. It's not because he's not tough or he's not willing.
Well, I'll tell you what. I talked with a prominent NHL coach that has been coaching a team for a long time. They were in Edmonton. And I said, "Oh, you see that they sent Rempe down?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Too bad he didn't have to clear waivers, hey?" He said, "We'd pick him up on a heartbeat." Yeah. There's fucking 15 teams that would grab him right now.
For sure. Yeah, 15. I mean, I love watching him play. I love what he brings to it, and he's so. And in an age where, okay, bear with me. I think he stands for more than just fighting in hockey. I think now, let's say basketball players, they don't even want to play back-to-back nights. And that's what I really love about Patrick Mahomes. I know it's football. Football players, though, are from a different football and hockey. I think, you play through a fucking injury for the most part. I don't think people should be irresponsible about it. I know that's happening a lot. But basketball is one end of it. But you see Rempe go out there and he's like basically saying, I'm going to put my body on the line for the team and I'm going to get paid millions or I'm going to get paid lots of money to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, of course I'm going to do that. And in today's world of a lot of athletes being just overly pampered in every which way but Sunday, and you see this guy with two black eyes, you see Tom Wilson, you see Zach Hyman. You don't have to be fighting to do it. I just mean, and I love that he stands for that. I'll play injured. I'll play for my teammates. He's not saying like, I'm going to fight because I'm the toughest. He's not speaking like a boxer when he comes in. I'm going to win tonight because he's doing it as a team guy.
Oh, right. Listen to everything you've said. And guess where he's at right now?
Yeah.
Listen to everything you just said.
He's in the minors with a shit team. So why aren't they playing him?
He's in the fucking American League. And everything you just said about that guy, that's the state of where the game is today. Yeah. And he can't play like when Chara broke in, okay? Because Chara could crush guys. Yeah. And now Rempe hits somebody, it's a fucking penalty. Because he's 6'9". So
yeah,
he's
I know.
In a really
that whole thing too.
He's
they slow down everything and they're like, oh, the elbow hit. Look, sometimes it looks like that, but I'm like, no, that guy just got lit up. You shouldn't have your head
like me hitting Marty Louis. I mean, me hitting St. Louis every night. I'm getting a fucking elbowing penalty.
Yeah.
He's in a really tough spot. But anyways, I'm just
I don't know who he's battling with there. I have to look into it on the fourth line. Who's the fourth line for Rangers? But the Rangers are in disarray. They're spiraling out of control. They've just traded Capo Caco, their first rounder from like 5 or 6 years ago. Trouba's out of there. Kreider's going to be next to be gone. These are great players. So I find it really curious that they're choosing to send him down now when he stands for everything that they're not. You know what I mean?
If he ain't getting called up now, I don't know when he's getting called up. Because back in my day, it's like, okay, we went on a 3-game skid. We're calling the big boy up, right? Yeah. Like that's what's happening, and now it isn't that. And New York is struggling. They signed a goalie for $11.5 million a year for 8 years. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a lot of inexperienced people in the National Hockey League. I'll put it this way. They make interesting decisions.
Yeah, to some degree. It's an old boys club maybe. And I don't mean that in the way it used to be, like with literally like an old boys club. I mean, maybe a lot of jobs they hire from within and sometimes You might get drunk on that kind of confidence. But it's funny when you look, or when you look at the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, I don't know. I played with Kevin Adams. He seemed like a smart guy, a good guy. I'm sure he's trying. Lindy Ruff came in. I mean, you can only fire so many coaches. I don't know. There's like 4 coaches now on their payroll. They fire some. Well, I don't know.
Where's Dean Lombardi?
They could use somewhere. They could use someone with a bit of spunk.
Where's Dean Lombardi?
Yeah. Well, where is Dean Lombardi?
Exactly.
I
don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I guess we sort of, veered off into whatever, which is awesome. I like talking hockey, but
yeah, that's what we're talking. Who's the hardest punch you ever got hit with? By the way, never did ask you that question. Carl, by the way, Carl from Minnesota asked that question. Carl, thanks for listening. Go ahead.
Hey, Carl Weathers. Remember him?
Oh yeah, just recently deceased.
Yeah. Tony Twist and George Larocque. So Tony Twist, I fought when I was 19. He was with St. Louis, and he hit me so hard in the fight. You see, my helmet pops off about 5 feet. He hits me in the side, and then George was in a different league.
How did the Twist end up, by the way?
Pretty good. I'm lucky. I didn't really. I was young and dumb, and I just, I hit a guy from behind, and he came out the next shift, and he said, "Ready to go, big boy?" And I said, "Yeah." And we squared off, and I just remember I got hit really hard, and I didn't get knocked out, which is wild.
That is fucking wild.
It's wild because he hit me right here in the face, and he broke my jaw. That was
one of the most feared.
He cracked my jaw. I couldn't eat. Back then I didn't know it was cracked, but I couldn't eat for a couple weeks. So
fucking amazing. And then
he's scary. He was scary, man. Twister was scary. And then George, George was George.
Wow. And that was that an exhibition?
Yeah, that was
remember you telling me that's in your book too.
Yeah, that was I stayed sober for 2 years for that fight.
Coming back in your hometown, wasn't it in Edmonton? Am I wrong?
It was in Calgary.
In Calgary, okay.
So we played 4 exhibition games, and the NHL still didn't reinstate me. And I'm like, when am I going to play? Like, I'm here. I've got a contract. Yeah. So on the 5th game, we were playing the Oilers at home, and Sutter walked in and he said, "Congrats, they just reinstated you to play tonight."
Oh, great.
I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
Right in my home province against one of the toughest individuals to ever, right at the peak of heavyweight fandom. Big
so I called my dad and my sister and my best friend. I said, get on the highway, man, Highway 2. I said, I'm playing tonight. So they drove from Edmonton to Calgary. And then after the game, I'll never forget, there's some moments in my career that, like, you don't forget. And by this time, my eye was completely shut. And when I walked out in my suit, I had blood on my dress shirt because it was dripping. And my dad was behind the curtain with my sister. And as soon as I hugged him, I started to cry.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm done. I said, I can't do it anymore, Dad. I've been doing this since I was 16. I said, I'm finished. And he said, I know, son. He said, you've given it everything you've had, and that was it.
That was it. And a little bit of relief with that.
Oh, I was pretty happy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? With all that, you like, even just if there was none of, your struggles off the ice and everything, just, it is like committing. When I look and just get reminded about, even last year I was down with the Growlers for that game, and you're looking and you're just like, these guys, like that's every day. That's, you get up in the morning and what did I do wrong last game? What do I need to do? Do I need to get in practice and be more vocal? What do I need to eat? Like every day is, how am I going to get further up the lineup with whatever team I'm in? How am I going to, at camp, how am I going to be a best teammate? Like there's a lot going on. And especially when you get called, you can look at a lineup and beforehand, like thinking about the fights, like I didn't play scared or anything. Neither did you, but I'm like, there's this nervous kind of energy, weird, omnipresent, like nervousness, just knowing that, okay, who we playing tonight? Okay, Portland. Who they got? Vandenbush, Mark Major. Okay.
Mark Major.
Mark, you know what I mean? And you're looking and you're like, okay, those two guys are pretty tough. When was the last time? And then you find out that, Major hasn't fought in 3 or 4 games. You're like, okay. And Moose isn't feeling that great tonight. I can do the math. Right? And
Moose
you're
is
like, okay. You know what I mean?
you're doing the math.
And
Well,
you live with that from the night before. No wonder people get on the booze and like really outside of your chemical dependency on drugs and alcohol. Outside of that, like still, you'd be like,
yeah.
of course you get on the booze sometimes the night before. Like, fuck me, I'm fighting an animal bare knuckle tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if I'm a boxer, I wait another 6 months. The
Yeah.
next night we're in Philadelphia and I'm gonna have to go McLaren, Bolaris, fucking Lassard, one of them.
They all played together.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh
my
man.
God, what a great. Well, buddy, how old are you now?
I'm 47.
Dude, you fought at 46.
Well, no, 47. It's almost my birthday again. It was my 47th birthday. So I'll be 48 in January. Yeah, my 47th birthday.
I couldn't believe, dude, when I woke up the next day, I think it was, and it was all over social media, and I said, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't drop the gloves.
And you know what's funny, Mizey? Off the start of the game, I realized, I go like, they did call me because they need me to play. Matt Cook kept saying that. He was like, before he goes, I don't know what you're planning here. He goes, ideally you go out and get a goal, assist, and a fight. But he goes, he goes, this, not that I thought it was a lark, but where it fell on my birthday and Toronto didn't know about it. They thought it was a lark. They're like, this is some kind of bullshit promotion to get fucking fans or whatever it is, and Instagram. And it wasn't that. It was just the circumstance. And, I was skating all the time. So they don't need so many people to pick from. We're on a fucking island. But when I got down there, I realized I might have to play. And I thought in the first period, I was like, if I go out, though, and fight, like this is my second chance to retire. The first one was egg all over my face. I never really knew I was retiring, and people, all this time had gone by. So I was like, if I just fight right off the bat, it could be selfish. And B, if I get beat and we get scored on, I mean, I'm playing pro hockey. There's a reason I used to fight. And it wasn't to get an Instagram fucking hit. It was either to get my team going, get some momentum,
100%.
or pick up for a teammate. But then in the third period, when I jumped the boards, I honestly didn't think I was going to get a chance to, because there's just not many people doing that anymore. And sure enough, man, Zach Walker, I think he ran the captain for the last like 4 years, who's from here, James Melindy, and his helmet popped off. And when I got out there, then I'm like, okay, I wasn't even like, here's my chance. It was just, by that time I was playing regular shift, Mizey. So I was like, it was just a hockey play that happened. And now I'm, my head went to 1998. It took a few shifts to get there, but you know what I mean? It went to exactly like I was out there playing, and it was so wild. It was like a time machine, because as we talk about it, there are memories that are so far off.
Oh,
right.
But for me, what really got me was your daughter, Penny.
Yeah, man, she was there, and
like that to me would be like, Kane or Peanut, like coming to watch Daddy play hockey. Like it wouldn't even have registered, and you got to do it last year, and what a cool moment, man. I mean, how many people play pro hockey at that age? I don't like a couple. I know Chelios was 46.
Chelly went. So apparently, I got phone calls afterwards. You can, and hockey historians and everything.
Yeah,
it was overwhelming, but it was all positive vibes. And a couple of them said it had been the longest anybody had ever gone, 21 years between games. Right. And I was like, I played like senior in the middle and stuff. Like it was as if I was a hermit in the mountains, and I just kind of came down like a bearded old man and went out on the ice. But I was playing, but not to that level. I mean, it was definitely. But I was happy. But once the game started going, I was like, okay, you know what, I can keep up out here, and it's a nice little. I know it's never going to go beyond this game, but there were nice little elements I didn't speak of. But the most overwhelming thing, okay, you can imagine, Penny Lane was born. She was born 7 years after my last professional game. right? Like, and that was even
Wow.
a whim. That was the last couple of years, 10 years since my last NHL game. Like I
Wow.
born, and now she was 14,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
13. So you can
Yeah.
imagine. Now, that being said, yourself, how old's Kane?
Well, he'll be 4 at the end of February.
4. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to have a kid at certain stages of your life, and I know that I can only speak for one, and I mean, I raised Tyson as well, and that was a great, joyous experience and a father-like experience with Penny Lane, my only biological kid. But you now having such a young child must
Mhm.
be extremely rewarding given
Yeah.
the times that like he doesn't realize how fortunate he is to be born when he was born as opposed to other times in your life. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so right now,
Mhm.
and I'm saying, I know it's one thing to have a kid like me, but to be that young and now you're probably at your most wise, your most
Mhm.
experienced, and you
Mhm.
get to raise a young thing now that actually can benefit from his dad's knowledge. Now, how is that to be um, such an involved father to such a young kid at your age?
Yeah, I think that God doesn't give you more than you can handle, right? And I wasn't sure what to expect. I had Kaner when I was 48 or whatever. And but I it's been the best gift I've ever been given. Like you know, I don't know how to explain it, but when you have a boy idolize you, it's really it's really something that I never really experienced. Chloe loved her dad, and but when you have a boy, like I went to the dentist and he was with one of the nurses watching cartoons, you know, and he's telling the nurses that his favorite hockey player is his dad. and
That's great.
that, and that he was telling him, you know, my dad played for the Philadelphia Flyers, the Boston Bruins, the San Jose Sharks. Like, I don't know, it just warms your heart, you know. And so it's challenging, but life is challenging, whether you have kids or not, you know. And
Yeah, man.
you know,
It
you
puts a smile
understand
on
it.
your face and his. So I know there's two people that definitely benefited.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he's I love it. I love the whole thing of just my little man, you know.
I heard so there's all kinds of things. I just wrote down some things that I've heard. So I do love your podcast, by the way, Unhammered. And you go in all directions. A lot of the times you're answering fan mail and things from people that are involved, affected, or maybe they're just fans of Brantt Myhres. But some of
Mhm.
the things that I know you've spoken about. So the importance, I'm going to go back and forth here, obviously. So you talked about the importance of the first 30 days that used to seem like so far off, but really it's not.
Mhm.
The really it's not. I get that for a normal person, 30 days is like, okay, but I can imagine when you wake up with a fucking hangover from hell, because you must have had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
30 days sober. Like I would think 2 minutes from that point, I can't picture it, but it must seem like an eternity. And I don't want to beat this to death, but let's just take a number like 30 days because I know it's big in AA.
Mhm.
So when you hit that for the first time, did that
Mhm.
feel like an accomplishment similar to say scoring a goal in the or were you going, oh, you know what, I got to get to 1,000?
It didn't really have an impact on me until I was out of the game. Um,
Okay.
those 30-day chips that I got in rehab and those 4 rehabs I went to were more based out of keeping a job.
Keeping a job and like and
Yeah.
tricking the system I know
Yeah.
at least the first couple was definitely manipulating the system. How can I
Yeah.
be in here and like the ultimate case of I want my cake and I want to eat it too. I want my
Uh,
Coke and I want I want to
yeah.
smoke too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so it until I got out my 5th treatment center, when I got that 30-day or the 90-day coin, I was really proud of that. Because there was no strings attached anymore. There was no doctors, urine testing, nothing. It was just me.
It was
And
just
so
you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So for me at that point, in 2008, those chips meant a lot to me. I was fortunate because I did go to treatment. A lot of people are dying on the streets right now. They can't afford it. And but I was fortunate, and I went for 8 months,
When
and
you when you like, it was sometime during the pandemic again, I forget the exacts of it, but you fell off the wagon for a day, right?
no, it was for longer than a day. I didn't. So I've been sober from any drugs for coming up on 18 years.
18.
Yeah, I haven't done any drugs. And then alcohol, I'll be 3 years in February.
3 years. So yeah, okay. So it was during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I thought I literally the world was really crazy to me at that time. I didn't know what was going on.
I don't think
It
you'd be
is
alone.
it was a very, very odd time in not only my life, I think a lot of people.
Can you
That
imagine how many people became fucking, I don't want to say became alcoholics, but we're definitely,
100%.
people that
100%.
have that tendency,
Yeah.
like that might have been keeping it together, or people like yourself that are like, okay,
Well,
I'm cruising here. I don't need this kind of world
yeah.
fucking shutdown, existentialism shit going on. Like, what's happening here?
W
I don't mean to
well,
laugh at it, but I'm going, fuck,
it's
man. Crazy.
true.
Yeah.
It was true. I don't wanna make any excuses because there's a lot of people that stayed sober through COVID. But the minute that I had a sip of that beer with clamato juice,
Love
uh,
it. Red eye.
it
It's
yeah.
probably my favorite way to have a beer.
Yeah, and I'll never forget. I poured it, and then I put the clam in, and it got a little fizzy, and I stared at it for like 5 minutes. I had all these thoughts of everything I've been through, and
Yeah, man.
and then I took my book, and even though
Wow.
everything in that book is true, right? There's not one thing that's not true. I knew that it was time to put that book away. So I grabbed it and I hid it, so I couldn't see it anymore. And then I drank the beer, and then the feeling of a lot of shame came in, and I didn't feel anything after that first beer, so I tried another one, and I didn't
Wow.
feel anything after that, and I tried another one, and then I was really sad, and I got up and had a glass of water, and I went to bed. Stopped working. Alcohol didn't work anymore for me. It never gave me any more euphoria or nothing like that.
So
So
was that it?
no, I thought maybe I'll try whiskey the next day.
Yeah, I remember you. I think you might even have mentioned this on your pod at some point.
Yeah, I'm like, well, beer's not making me feel good. Maybe I'll try some rum or whiskey.
Jesus,
So
and the book had come out and everything, and and I mean, gee, I'm surprised you didn't go for the blow, man.
oh
Just
no,
given your tendencies, like, you know what I mean? What
it
if there was
is
a line of coke there? What would you have done?
it is a god's, and I have had more money now than I
Yeah,
did. Like I could afford going to fucking Bali for a year and get as much coke as I want.
yeah, man.
And I it didn't even register to get any cocaine or any drugs at all.
That's really encouraging news. It's almost, in a weird way, it's a good thing you kind of went through this.
Yeah, it is because it really, really, really solidified that alcohol, and I don't want to do drugs. I haven't done them in a long time, but especially booze, that mechanism is done for me. It doesn't work.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't even exist anymore. So we could be, Putin could send some fucking nukes over tomorrow, right? And I
Yeah.
just bunker down with a hot chocolate.
With a hot chocolate. Yeah.
Like
No more.
I wouldn't even think about booze. I wouldn't even think about it. So
What?
it's in a weird way, it was a very short relapse that happened. And
You
but what it
imagine if can you imagine if you told your former self, on the way into Ezzy's. Hey, you know what? Let's just have some hot chocolate. You're going to be we're going to have a great time here. Honestly,
Oh
we're going to
yeah.
get up and read the paper and have a coffee. You're going to have a wicked time. You would have punched yourself in the face.
Right in the face. Right in the
That circuit in Edmonton, even Senor Frogs was on the go for a while.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
that shit?
Fast
Cowboys.
Remember Fast Eddie's?
Yeah, Fast Eddie's, Iron Horse,
Thunderdome.
any excuse. Oh man, it
The
was so
Thunderdome.
easy to hide it back then because I mean, all the Western leaguers boozed all the time. I mean, you run
Oh
into people
yeah.
on Tuesday, like I said, at the Iron Horse or wherever fucking
Yeah.
Esmeralda's. Um.
Yeah.
Anyway, and even I speaking of again, I don't want to beat this to death, but one of your pods, I don't know where it is, but at some point, I think you mentioned Evan, your first experience with Coke at Peach Fest. Am I wrong? In Penticton?
Yeah, that was my first line, yeah.
Oh
At a
God,
bar called the Night Moves.
I've been at Peach Fest more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Dog, he gave me the line.
So
And
did he know that you weren't hip to it?
no, he just said, "Hey, come in the bathroom." And we were partying all day. It was a hot day out, and I go into the bathroom and he shuts the door and he has a bill rolled up, and I didn't know what he was doing. And he goes, "Snort it." And I said, "What is it?" And he goes, "Don't worry about it, buddy." And so I did it. And I just remember as I'm washing my hands, all of a sudden this feeling comes over me, and it's like that Saturday Night Fever, the opening scene as he's walking down the fucking sidewalk as the tunes are going, right?
Oh
That
yeah.
that how he walked is exactly how I walked it back into the bar from the washroom.
Oh, Peach Fest too. Chicks
Yeah.
everywhere. You're in the NHL. You're looking your
Yeah.
best. You had that mullet
Yeah. Oh
lock
yeah, the
going.
frosted
I can
tips. Yeah.
only imagine. Oh God.
Yeah. That was my first really like it took alcohol and times it by, 100.
Wow.
And I'm like,
You know,
whoa, this isn't good.
you know what's funny is that I think now because of, I mean, whatever, the world is more connected. You can say social media, it's just more connected. And, the internet is, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying, so where we would hang out more as a team, and there was definitely more boozing in junior. But now you kind of know what everything is. And like, I mean, I don't want to get specific, but there's kids that come back. I skate with them. They go, you're on the go. I got my finger on the pulse, even being, so they might see drugs earlier, but I swear to you, I tell people that and people don't believe me because they think we were a bunch of madmen. I'm like, guys, in junior, I didn't even, because people would be really surprised. Oh, really? Brantt Myhres never saw Coke till he was 22. I mean, come on. I'm going,
Yeah.
no, it
Yeah.
was a booze thing. Like we would all go out and booze and, talk to a lot of skirts and, have
Mhm.
shooters. And it was a party atmosphere. But really, it was later in life, I think, that you'd run into things like that. No, like
Yeah.
if you
I
didn't
didn't
do it
even
till then, I'm sure you didn't see it much in junior
Oh, I didn't see it at all in junior.
at all.
I didn't
Me
even
neither.
really I heard about Coke, but I didn't see any of it.
It was absurd. I only knew it
It,
from like Scarface. I'm like,
it
what the
and I
fuck
really
are you
looked
talking about? Yeah,
and I really looked down on guys that I heard that did it in high school.
really down.
Um, but
They
I
were the
swear to
complete and you wouldn't see it
fucking
because you wouldn't be
just
around those
wouldn't even
losers.
be around it, right?
Yeah,
But at 22 in Peach Fest, I experienced something that I mean, there's a reason why they got to smuggle it in.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's just a reason why it's a
That was the
multi-billion dollar.
wrong time for a guy like you to just feel
Well,
better about himself. Like, oh my god, like you know what I mean?
well, and then in Philly is when there's a guy, I won't name names, but he knew a Coke dealer. And so I got the number off of him. And then he delivered the bag after games right to the bar or to my car and it was on at that point. That was
Game
it.
fucking on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of women associated?
Oh, that did it? Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
most of the girls that I
was it
was
a was it a
partying with.
was it part of the pursuit for women?
Oh, everything in my life was because of that.
Yeah, I see. I
Really,
do.
like
Yeah.
you'd go for a couple beers with the boys, but really, what are you doing?
Oh
You
yeah, no.
know, like,
You're hitting
you
on
know,
every
you're
bartender. You're and there's little grooves
yeah,
happen during the night, and
yeah,
maybe come over here and
yeah.
and you
Like
know,
the radar's always on. It's
yeah,
always scanning, right? You
wild
know,
stuff. I've heard you say again on Unhammered, folks. It's what episode are you at now? 29,
I'll be dropping 30.
30 pretty soon. So check it out. If you like these stories, there's so many more. I could talk about this for 10 hours, but one thing you said, something I've tried to go back and find that I couldn't, but I'm paraphrasing here. You said something at some point recently. If you had come across Sid or Nate McKinnon, and
Oh yeah.
like for a guy like you, because the way you said it when you were speaking about it was, I'm not sure, but the way I took it was, imagine if you had come across someone as dedicated as that, that was like, and if you were like off the booze training like they were with not
Mhm.
saying that you didn't have good people in your life, at that point the substance got a hold of you, but as well as, you know it's a good thing that maybe some kids like that don't run into someone like your buddy Doug or whatever. Who was it in the bird dog? Like, I get all that, and he wasn't trying to be a fucking prick or anything. I guess he was
No,
just, yeah.
no.
I get his motives, that they weren't malicious, but that's like a two-way street. On one hand, it's good that those kind of great prospects and everything are shield themselves, and they got the mental fortitude to not only like keep it together but not go down that road at all. But imagine though, Mizey, if you had really dedicated yourself as a powering, you just said, I think I might hit like a point a game, 63 points in 60 games or whatever in junior. That's a lot for a guy as big and as much of a presence. And like,
Mhm.
are there any regrets that you could have been a more impactful player? Because it's amazing that you did most of what you did while you were fighting substance abuse. I know this is a long
No,
story
no.
or question. You don't have to unpack it like I did, but comment a little bit.
Well, I think the evidence speaks for itself. So if you were to look at it, and I had 7 general managers in the National Hockey League either trade for me or I signed contracts. 7.
Trade
And
for you, knowing that they were getting a bit of the
knowing,
Tasmanian devil.
knowing,
Yeah,
okay, willing to offer me one-way deals. Okay.
yeah,
This is a guy that doesn't dedicate himself at all.
at all. Imagine.
There's no dieting, there's no working out, there's none of it. Okay.
No,
And I had 7 general managers sign me. So that's
fucking amazing.
probably, could you imagine if at 17 or 18 I worked out with Sid or Nate in the summer and I was on a strict program all season,
Wild.
right?
Yeah.
Imagine what I could have done,
Now,
you know.
I hope in no way, I don't think I used the word regret, but if I did, I don't mean it. But I meant that like almost hypothetically, because you played a lot of games in the NHL, hundreds. Your success, you're fucking once an NHLer, always an ex-NHLer. That look how proud Kane is. You played for all those teams, and you got through all of that, and now you have a message. So I think your place in the game. I'm not religious. You are. If there's, if but I'm definitely spiritual, and there's higher power. I'm just not as positive. It's exactly what a lot of other people, whatever faith you're involved
Sure.
in. I'm
Yeah.
veering off. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that your message is definitely, you did play in the NHL spiritually. I think you're an unbelievable leader, and what happened to you is going to impact way more lives because you
Mhm.
got your shit together and you played in the NHL. So it doesn't matter now if you were a
Mhm.
20-goal scorer up there or not. It's completely irrelevant. I just know, and
Yeah.
and that you could have probably had better statistics. Your analytics could have looked better if you like just ate it like a salad, or like
Uh,
stayed off the booze for like
yeah, yeah.
5 nights out of the season. Just give me 5
Could you
sober.
imagine? Could you imagine? Like, let Mario. Lemieux, like look how
Yeah.
good Mario was, and he smoked darts, right? Like
Yes.
Gretz ate
Yes.
hot dogs and fucking Diet Coke. Like
During the
he
game.
never he couldn't even do a pull up. He hated ride. Like, could you imagine if Wayne, Mario, Mess, even all these greats would have dedicated how they do it today? Think
It's
about how good
insane.
they would, even better they would have been.
It's
They just
incredible. That's why
it's a
it's a two-way street. People compare and they don't realize. I'm like, look, it's all relative. And
yeah.
it's of the time. Of the time, I'm sure that Wayne Gretzky figured he was doing enough. I mean, he's getting 200 fucking points a year, right?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
one's in his, but maybe or a guy. What's wild? That guy was so durable too. He was durable. Like you can't even
Yeah, he
say
didn't miss him any. He
he
didn't miss
didn't miss,
other than that Suter hit in the Canada Cup.
which was legit. I mean, anybody'd be hurt after that. If
He
that was
got hit.
Kawhi Leonard, he'd be
He
out till
got,
Christmas
but
2029.
he's getting suspended for half the year if
Yeah.
he
Oh,
does that.
look
Like
at those World Cup of '96 highlights,
oh,
'91
the best
highlights.
game, best games ever.
Guys are running each
Incredible.
other. Those are
Kachuk.
international games. The World Cup didn't mean anything. It's not even the Olympics.
No, I know.
Fucking
They
good. It
were.
was August.
You know what? You know what? I wish we had T that we don't, and whatever it is, what it is. I wish we had games like that in fucking 4K.
Oh yeah, I
Hey,
know.
could you imagine the way that we see highlights now and the games are televised? Could
Fucking,
you imagine if in the 90s it was in 4K? How
I can't.
incredible that would be.
Fucking
Like,
right.
oh, it would be amazing,
And
you
so
know?
much filmed. There's like everything now, every single thing. There's five
Yes.
highlights of it. I just want one person. I know he's a friend of yours, and I met him, and he was nice to me. But because of I don't know the way history goes, and he got injured, and people forget for some reason how very good, how
Mhm.
unbelievable Eric Lindros but
Oh,
was like,
jeez.
oh my
Yeah.
God, are you kidding
So
me when he came in? So if you're listening to this and you
yeah,
really don't know, my
yeah,
first example would be the 1991 Canada Cup. He was picked. So people are going now, is Bedard going to make the Four Nations? He's not doing well. And, maybe not. Is he going to be in the Olympics next year? Maybe. Well, he's still young. Okay, he's young. Yeah. Next year, the Olympics will be 20, turning 21. Lindros had never played a national hockey game in his life. He was 18 years old. In the summer, he got drafted in 91. And the fucking guy was running everything. He was one of Canada's
yeah.
best players 4 years ago. You're with them in Philly.
Yeah,
They reached the finals. He's the MVP of the league. They lost in game
yeah,
7. I mean, like McDavid, you can't blame it on him.
yeah,
He was a fucking force and the
yeah.
best player, if you were to take everything combined on the planet for a few years. And I don't think people realize that. Did he train hard?
Um, the problem is when you had a guy like Rod Brindamore in the dressing room,
Yeah.
everybody looked like they weren't training that hard.
My God. Now, he was known for it, even
Right?
in,
Like
he was
Roddy
ahead of
was
the
like
time.
different. Like I felt like an absolute tool sitting next to him on the bike. Like
Yeah.
Big E worked out a little bit, but Big E was just absolutely gifted. Like, I mean, I'll never forget when I got traded there and we were playing Colorado my first game. I fought a guy named Francois Leroux that night.
Yeah, I remember that. Big guy.
And Big E walked up to me and he's like, "Hey man, hey, glad to have you. Better to have you on our side." And I said, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you, Eric." And as he was taking his stuff off to put on his underwear for the game, I was looking at it. I couldn't believe how ripped this man was.
How jacked he was, yeah.
And he was 6'5" or whatever. And I mean, 200 and whatever, 40. And I mean, not an ounce of fat, pure muscle. And then we practiced, we'd have pregame skate, and he had a heavy stick. He used a heavy, I can't remember what type of stick it was. It was a heavy black stick.
Easton, wasn't it?
Nope.
Wasn't it Easton?
No, it
Okay.
was a Bauer. It was a
Oh,
Bauer.
yeah, Bauer getting the game. He was the Bauer face for
Yeah, yeah.
years.
And he had
When
a
the
white
presence is
he
felt,
had a
check out
couple,
what he's wearing.
he had a couple white stripes of tape on his stick. And this thing weighed as much as like anyways,
I remember that.
in practice, he'd take his one hand and he'd stick handle really quick. And then he'd shoot it top corner with one hand on this heavy Bauer stick. That's how
not only your arms, how strong do your wrists have to be for that?
That's how strong his wrists were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? And I was there the night that it all ended for him. And that was in Pittsburgh when Kasperitis rocked him.
Yeah.
I was a healthy scratch and I seen it coming. And
wow.
all of a sudden, bang. And I just went, uh-oh. And then when I went into the dressing room, I instantly went downstairs and I looked at the trainer. I said, "Where is he?" And he goes, "Oh, he's not doing good, Meyers." And I went into the shower and he was standing in the shower with all his gear on. And he looked at me and he said, "Who let you in here?" He didn't know who I was.
Whoa. And
And
this is early on in his injuries, even though that was a big one.
that was his first major concussion.
Wow.
And then later on, that would have been in the summer, they played the Devils in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's when he got really cranked.
Yeah.
But the Kasperitis was the domino.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, more highlights are of the Stevens one, but I remember the Kasperitis. I remember a couple more.
Yeah, that was the domino that started it, though. Yeah.
It's funny. I often say, it's too bad because people don't realize. And my dad will often say, Terry, he played so reckless. It's a good thing we actually got to see him at his peak. He goes, that he could have done that at 18 and you wouldn't even know. Right? You wouldn't know what he would have done.
Well,
and people forget how fucking good he was.
Talk about a phenom.
Yeah.
Do you see what they got for him, Philly, back then?
Yeah.
He sat out a year.
Like 10 players, yeah. And then he came in and was immediate. And I know he was big.
He got $15 million. They got $15 million in cash. And then they got all these guys like Forsberg and
Forsberg alone is one of the best players two-way of all time.
Chris Simon, Ricci, like they got all these guys for one guy.
Makes you wonder why. Now I know he demanded it, but it makes you wonder why teams don't do that more.
Oh, if it's me right now, you can see how creative general managers get, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if this hometown that I'm in, as we speak, doesn't win the Stanley Cup this year, you're in year 10 now. You're in year 10 going in next season with two guys. And I maybe ask you because you're a hockey historian. But when was the last time two guys were 1-4 in scoring in the National Hockey League for 8 years and that didn't win a cup?
I've asked myself some version of the question that you just brought up more than
1-4. Either 1, 2, 3, or 4 in scoring. So Draisaitl, McDavid. And then in 9 or 10 years, when did that last happen? When there was, you could say Backstrom, Ovechkin.
I don't know if it did, but
Backstrom wasn't top 5 in scoring.
I know what you're saying. Like you got McDavid and you got Draisaitl, consistently. And Draisaitl has won the scoring when he got hurt. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, he won it. He won it. So then so they've been like 1, 2, and 3 for 9 years. So my point is like, it'd be interesting to see what happens in Edmonton if there isn't a parade in the summer.
Yeah, I think it's something that no one is really talking about now. But if that happens, if they don't win, it's going to hit you like a train. Like you're gonna, if you're a fan, going what? But you're there's guys up for contracts now and everything else, and you can't. Now they were so close last year, and my heart fucking fell for them. Really did. But someone's got to win, and Florida were better. That's it. That's it. That's what happens here, right?
Yeah. So, if you look at who won the Stanley Cup, you look at the backyard dogs on that team.
Backyard dogs, man.
Yeah. Look at Bennett. Look at Bennett.
Dogs, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
You're right though. They got a lot of spunk.
Oh, look at Kachuk. Yeah. Look at those guys, right? So it's you need sandpaper.
He went there. They were pretty good already. He went there. Of course, other things happened. But that was the biggest thing. Dude, that you see on his chest, boys, follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me, boys. And
Follow.
just even last night, see the goal he got? I think it was Dallas. It wasn't. It was in St. Louis or one of those. They're on a road trip. And he scored in front. And then as he's going down, he elbowed the goalie in the head, acting like he didn't mean to do it. Always chaos. But what happens? What happens is that players don't want to play against him or them. I mean, I'm saying that Bennett and Reinhardt are two great players that'll do the same thing. You're looking down, they'll fucking elbow you. What? To win the Stanley Cup?
There's seven. It's not 82 games with different teams. They're 7-game series, 4 rounds.
4 rounds.
Like it's a war, and you need those war type guys on your team. In my opinion.
Obviously. Well, every team that wins does have them. And people, I think, I don't know if they're blind to it, but I don't know. Every team still has big defensemen that wins. Big, because it's tough to win. I say to people, I'm like, the NHL, there's no out of bounds, man. You're going real fast. I don't care what. I don't care if they take hitting out. There's still something for big players. Physicality is going to be there. If they take it out, you'll get speared behind the play. And you can only pussify it so much. But players are out there, and it's really, really noticeable when the Stanley Cup's on the line. You might go through your 82 games. Those are exceptions. We talk to guys who play like absolutely hard every night. But when you get, and I think that's unfortunate because you're paid to play hard every night. But once the playoffs come, Mizey, the Stanley Cup's on the line. And it's just, it just, as soon as it starts, the puck drops, the first whistle, boom, guys are in there. They're wrenching each other. They're fucking they're scraping, they're slashing the skates, they're getting you on your laces. Whatever I got to do to make life hard. And I'm good. Whatever rules they take out, I will find a way to fucking corkscrew you, to cross check you, to slash you. And I love that that's still, we're hanging on by a thread, but it still defines hockey. In by just the winners every year have those
100%.
kind of players.
Yeah, 100%.
Mizey.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Christmas present you've ever gotten?
Oh, geez. I'd have to say probably that I can remember. It was a mini pool table.
Wow.
When I was little.
You could have thrown 1,000 things at me and I wouldn't have guessed mini pool table. That popped right into your head. So you love that. You played with it a lot.
Yeah, I played pool every day when I was little. Yeah.
Did you end up doing that? I mean, that sounds like something that a boozer would do.
Yeah. I love drinking. Love drinking and playing pool.
Drinking, playing pool, going back for a rip every couple games.
Had a little Pat Benatar
hitting on the bartender. Yeah. A great way to kill an afternoon if you don't take it over the top, but of course you do. Favorite Christmas present?
You just asked me that.
Oh, sorry, Jesus Christ! Favorite Christmas song? My God, present. Oh, whoa! By the way,
rocking around the Christmas tree.
No, I meant to say song. What's your favorite Christmas song?
Rocking around the Christmas tree.
Ah, a little old school.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say this with a smirk. You're sober and everything. You must remember, and this, by the way, comes from Patricia in Minnesota. A couple from Minnesota here today. But she wants to know your worst hangover ever.
I mean,
I've got to think. Let me pipe in with, it couldn't have been good the day that you'd been sober for a long time and you're in Edmonton, and the guy who's doing the test is downstairs, and you get ripped that night. You pick that night to go in.
Oh, actually, that was to me the most painful. Emotionally painful thing I've ever gone through. That's
the one story that sticks out most in your book. Sorry to cut you off. So just tell us, because a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sure most do, but just pepper us with a little bit of information from that insane choice that you made.
Yeah, I was supposed to get reinstated or stay sober for whatever, 9 months or something, and I did, and the head doctor was coming to Edmonton to just check me out to make sure that I was good to go. And he went to the Westin Hotel. I thought I'd get a room at the Westin just so that I could, be close to him. And as soon as I walked in, I saw the mini bar, and I said, "Well, now I'm not going to do anything tonight because I got to meet Dave in the morning." And as soon as I open the mini bar, it's like in that movie Flight, where he shuts the door and then all of a sudden he reaches back and grabs a little bottle.
Oh yeah.
And that's what happened to me. And then I remember the next thing I remember, I was doing a line of coke at around 8:50 a.m. and I had to meet Dave at 9 down the hallway.
You talk anxiety. That could kill a fucking elephant.
Oh,
The
it was
anxiety you must have had going in there.
It was when I knocked on the door, my heart was racing, 1,000 miles a minute. And he offered me a coffee. I said, no, I don't need any caffeine.
Yeah, that's the last thing I need. Do you have any sedatives? Do you have any Valium by chance?
No.
Let's just look past it right now.
Do you have any like NyQuil?
Yes, I just. Oh, I see you. I see you have some NyQuil behind you in the medicine cabinet. I just have a little bit of that.
I need some.
That's insane. Syrup. I say to people, if you want to know the definition of what it's like, if you can't understand, because I can't understand that, that's what separates Meyers' mental state at the time and people that go through that from just a normal person that can't understand, that might go out and get drunk and go, oh, I don't want to hang over. Like, look, that's insane. You couldn't wait mine 24 hours, 10 hours, just asleep. Like, it's at nighttime. You didn't get there the week before and have to get ready, and this was tempting you. This was just, you looked and said, okay, in a few hours, I'm going to meet this guy. And then after that, I can do whatever I want. I can go hang out with Keith Richards in France if I want.
Yeah.
To a degree, I'm not going to get tested. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
What a decision.
It was, and the wild thing is I made it through the meeting. And
you made it through.
And they reinstated me. And when I wrote a letter to Bettman in Sylvan Lake, I was drinking a case of beer
to
get reinstated.
It's truly unbelievable. And I overuse that word, but it is truly unbelievable. Yeah. By the way, now you're going with your glasses. So I like my glasses. I
have to wear them, man. I can't see the screen anymore.
But you keep taking them off and on, and especially earlier in your pod, you'd take them off to like read a question.
No.
Or you'd put them on to read a question, take them off, like you were going to put them on, and then you put them back on 7 seconds later.
I know it's becoming habit now, though. Like with I haven't had to start wearing glasses until I turned 50, which was last March.
Yeah, and they say 45, and I knew something was happening. Now,
yeah, man. And now when I look at my phone, if I don't have my glasses on, I can't read it. So it's getting bad.
Can you read it if you hold it out far?
No.
Okay, not at all.
I cannot. If I don't have my glasses, I can't see my phone. On the computer now, it really makes the screen nice and clear. But when I take them off, it's pretty blurry.
Interesting. So you're going to keep them on? I mean, because they look great. And I'm like, the one pod, it was like number 13 or something. I'm like, he's taking his glasses off 36 times in the last 10 minutes.
Well, I'd rather not have them on, right? Like we take pictures for the pod, like for the thumbnail without glasses most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'll sit here and I'll take them off and we'll do pictures for the thumbnail, but I don't like to have them on. I just have to have them on.
You know what I added in mine? So mine was more the reading, but I had astigmatism I didn't know about, and I was getting some headaches. So I don't know what happened, but I got I don't know. I think what they call them, progressives or transitions or something, but they adjust tint based on the level of. So even though now I'm on the computer, but it picks that up, so they tint just a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's like a blue. It's like
something,
a blue,
and it really, it's like my eyes are comfortable. I don't know if it was hits to the head or anything, but like I did get a lot of light kind of headaches. I got were to do with my eyes and up here when I had my conkeys, but one was almost a year post concussion. A lot of it had to do with the lights in my eyes, and these just make it perfect. All aces, and they like I said, they got some blue light protector. I don't know what it is, but they're nice on my eyes.
Nice.
Your favorite Christmas? Well, you've been on for an hour and 15, by the way. So a lot of people have asked this same question to most guests that come on at Christmas over the years. But on this one, I want to get this right. So Lila, PJ, and Davey K. Okay, these guys are all from the Western League area. I forget. It was Kamloops, Lethbridge, and Medicine Hat, but I don't know where each of them are from. But guys, I got your note. I'm going to ask Brandt right now. They wanted to know your favorite Christmas movie.
What is it? So it is called Family Man.
Family Man. Now, is Nick Cage or
yeah,
who?
yeah,
Nick Cage, yeah.
yeah. Family Man. He's
Probably
this
20
rich.
years ago.
He's this rich. His path went a different way with his girlfriend, and he's this rich guy that has all this money, but he's lonely. He's all alone. And then he gets he meets an angel, and he gets sent back into a life that he would have had if he would have stayed with his wife, with kids and working at a tire shop. And
Yes.
it's just the best for me. It's the best Christmas movie. I love it. It's great.
Okay, it's all opinion, and I do
Yeah.
remember that. I haven't seen it in a while.
Bad Santa's pretty good too.
I don't. Yeah, I would not that they asked me. I mentioned you were coming. I got a lot of questions. I don't know. Penny Lane and I watched Christmas Vacation last night. That's pretty good. Die Hard is always
that's a classic.
tongue in cheek. I'll have to watch Family Man again though.
Yeah.
I do remember the movie. Okay, I kept you a long time, but listen, there's a couple of people. Let me see. Stephen from Toronto wanted to know. Oh, if you could pick an exotic pet, what would it be, and have you ever owned one?
No, I haven't owned an exotic pet, but I would. I'd like a monkey.
Would you? I was going to say a snake. You seem like
no. I want somebody to I don't know, pound fists with, and swing around the trees with.
Oh yeah, a monkey for Brantt Myhres would be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, buddy, I could ask you these all day.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I mentioned that you were coming on, so I get a little bit of feedback on my social media, and your name has turned into just like every single person was positive.
Oh, good.
Not that they're negative against other guests, but you'll often hear something, or yeah, right. Why didn't he score these goals, or why didn't he make this decision and back, or sure he is. What does he do now? Or there's always some level, there's pessimism.
Yeah.
Social media often invites that, but honestly, people were really, really pumped. Those who had heard your pod loved it. And they're proud of you, really. Like, you're an inspirational guy with a positive message that I'm loving is still getting out there. Do you have anything else to promote? You got a beer or something too, don't you?
We're working on that. Yeah, we're working on that. We'll announce something in the spring.
It's going to be a non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
Okay. And your podcast Unhammered can be found on YouTube and most media platforms, I think, podcast platforms.
Yeah, same as I think any other one. Pretty easy to find.
Okay, so I'm out that way, Mizey. If I don't see you, February 1st, I'm going back. I went to Black Falls to drop a puck, and there ended up being for the junior team there, the Bandits, and there ended up being, or the Bulldogs. Jesus, Bandits are another. The Black Falls Bulldogs. So I was going to drop a puck, but the game got canceled. It was a snowstorm about a month ago. So I'm coming back out there February 1st, and I'm going to make a point to get up to the studio, Jason Greger's show. And I'd love to catch up, maybe in person. We haven't seen each other in a couple of years.
Let's do it. We know what we should do. Me and you should both go on the show.
Yeah. Hey, love to. I mean, that's
hockey.
Okay.
Ask Jay.
I'd love to do that at any point, but maybe both of us could go in the studio.
Yeah. Let's talk some hockey.
Okay, interesting. Listen, I love the pod. I hope you come back soon. I'm going to talk to you, obviously, outside of this, but have a great Christmas. I really hope your holidays go unbelievable. I'm really proud of you, and good luck in this coming year, and congrats on another year, not only sober, but knowledge gained. You're more wise. You look better, and
Thanks,
I guess you could say you're healthy and happy. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you certainly seem it.
Yeah. I'm super excited for every day, man. Every day is a new journey. It's great.
Okay, there it is. Brantt Myhres. Thanks, my friend. We'll have you back real soon, and I'll talk to you.
Brother. Love you, T. Thanks,
Love you, buddy. There he is, Brantt Myhres. Folks, thanks for listening. So, Brandt, like I wasn't kidding here. Like I wasn't kidding. Who am I? Like he's not like kidding, like what do they call that? Anyway, or that accent. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because I love my buddy Brantt Myhres, and I'm glad he came on here. And his podcast is awesome. Unhammered, but you don't have to be a recovering alcoholic or an alcoholic or recovering anything or this many months sober. You can listen to it because it's just great stories. Unhammered, I'm glad he's unhammered, and I'm glad he's doing really well. But trust me, any hockey fan, I think any student of life that wants to learn anything just about compassion and experience, ups and downs, and just living life experience is going to get off on this show. So check it out. Easy to find. It's all over YouTube. It's the only one that I actually watch through YouTube because I come back, I make my dinner or whatever 4 or 5 days a week, and I throw on the latest episode of Unhammered. I like to see Meyers when he's speaking to me. For some reason, all the other podcasts I listen, but he's got a nice ambiance, a nice setting about his podcast. Anyway, thanks a lot, Meyers. I love you, buddy. We'll have you back soon. Folks, if you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, of course, and you want to go to George Street, why wouldn't you check out Trinity Pub, the Martini Bar, Rob Roy Confusion, Greensleeves, or of course, the Bull and Barrel. If I'm going to go for a bite to eat, you know where I go? I start at the Loose Tie, Blue on Water. Of course, if I'm in the East End or I need some catering, I go to Wedgwood Cafe. If I want strength and balance for the body and mind, I look no further than Brian Power Conditioning on Rope Walk Lane. Power Conditioning, Rope Walk Lane, strength and balance for the body and the mind. Carpet Factory, check it out. It's worth your while. If you need a carpet and you're in St. John's, Carpet Factory, why not? If you want to go to Mr. Lube, there's 2 locations in Newfoundland and Labrador. Well, St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. There's lots of locations in Newfoundland, but if you're in St. John's, there's one on Torbay Road, and there's one on Camelot Road. Live, laugh, lube. Pitbull Pain Relief. The pain sticks, it just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. True Hockey, take what's yours, and of course, Mugsy Jeans. The most comfortable, stretchy jeans. I love my Mugsy jeans. Like I said, True Hockey are fucking awesome. True Hockey, get out there. Take what's yours. True Hockey. I love it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I'll be back in just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. Catch you guys on the rebound. Over and out. Adios.